Hey, you're the newest member of the GUNTALK After Show Club. Yeah, you're already a member since you downloaded the After Show, and that means you're serious about shooting, safety, and gun-related issues. Man, if you come to the right place, you're among friends and like-minded people here. Hey, if you're on hold, stay there, because Tom is coming back to the microphone. And during the After Show, you can take your time and really dig into those issues. So once again, here's Tom Gresham, our show producer Jim Kinsey, Michael, and Michelle.
All right, it's the after show part of the 20th anniversary show. We've got Jim, Michael, Michelle are here. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, happy birthday to GUNTALK.
Happy birthday to me. Okay.
Okay, we got that out of the way.
All right. This has been great. See you next week. Wait, I'm sorry.
The shortest GUNTALK after show on record.
That's right. By popular demand. Could you guys make it shorter, please? That would be better. Okay. So, who knew, huh? Jim, you've been here the longest of everybody. 14 years?
Yep, 14 years. Very good. Very good. You've been tracking me, haven't you?
Holy cow, that's right. I do have a tracker on your car also.
Great.
We were going to put one on Michael's truck, but it never moved, so it's okay.
It fell off. You attached it to the frame, so it fell off. Oh, do we have truck stories? 14 years. Yep, 14 years ago. Got you as a customer and evolved into a friendship, which is pretty cool, and a mentorship kind of thing. Not to get too schmaltzy, but that's what happened.
It was an interesting deal because just in kind of inside baseball, or in this case inside radio, GUNTALK started off on a national network, and then there was this weird deal, and it just went away like overnight. It just poof, it was gone. The network was gone.
Yep.
And we had no way to get the show out. And that's when we found you and said, hey, how would you like to do a radio show called GUNTALK?
Wasn't it more like, hey, you're dumb enough to do this. Why don't you jump on board?
Well, that was implied. We never came out and said exactly that. But your reputation did precede you, so it was okay.
Great.
This guy will do it. He doesn't know any better.
Yeah. What does he know? Get him.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Mike,
now, were you not really a gun guy at that point?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't anti-gun. I had actually owned a gun when I lived in Detroit because I carried a lot of money.
Because you lived in Detroit.
Yeah, because I lived in Detroit. And I was looking at moving to Oakland. But anyway, I was carrying a lot of money for the company I was working for and didn't want to die for their money. So at that time I did carry. And then when I stopped working for them, I just didn't see a need to carry one because nothing ever bad happens, right?
Right.
And then you woke up. You woke me up.
As we go along and you're kind of listening to the show, what was it that changed your attitude on stuff?
I just wasn't educated. I was ignorant, and I never had it presented to me.
Right.
I'm still ignorant about a lot of things, but on guns, I'm catching on.
We're all ignorant about some things, but yeah, it's maybe just being exposed to it.
Yeah, it was. It was like I said, I wasn't anti-gun because I used to have one, but I just didn't know any of the background stuff. I didn't know the Second Amendment from left field. And
now you have more than one gun.
Yeah. But I have more than one gun that my wife knows about even.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah. No. What you don't know is your wife has more guns than you know about.
That could be. I just hope when I die, she doesn't sell them for what I told her I paid them for them.
There you go. Yeah, she knows better. I know her. She's smarter than you.
And she's
guys.
A shooter. Now, there's an interesting story that you're responsible for indirectly and directly.
Yes.
She was previously married to another man. And he was a Marine guy, and he was big into guns, and she didn't want to have anything to do with him. He wasn't allowed to have them in the house. They had children and everything else, all the stories we still hear, the resistance. And so when I met her, I said, after I kind of went, because I couldn't talk because she was so gorgeous, I started talking about guns relatively. I mean, I think at our first lunch get-together, I started talking about guns, and she told me how she felt about them. I said, oh, that's fine. How many times did your husband take you shooting? Well, never. And it was ding, 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 Tom Gresham mode I kicked into. So I invited her to the range, and that day she changed her mind. It was great, and she's been an advocate ever since. So you're directly and indirectly responsible for that because you've dealt with her on several occasions. And my daughter, you're responsible for as well, Jasmine.
Your daughter is a shooter. That's right.
She's a better shooter than me, the little punk. Those 11-year-old eyes. I just keep saying.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Those eyes, I'm telling you, they're seeing stuff that we don't even know is out there.
Yeah, like a dog ear and stuff.
There you go. Michelle, how long have you been doing the show with us here?
I believe about 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
Really?
I think so.
Wow.
You probably have the best sense Well, there's no doubt you do, because you're taking the calls, and to a large extent, you're deciding who gets through. And I know that there are people who, they always ask me, they say, well, do you get a lot of crank calls? I say, we really don't. At least they don't get to me, but you're doing the filtering. When you tell people about doing the show and the calls and all that, how do you describe our callers?
Well, I think they're both the people that are calling in because they need education and because they're educated yet need more information. So I think it's edgy on both sides. And I think it's just the clarification that we need to make, or maybe send them in a different direction. And it's just a helpful resource. I mean, that's the best thing I can tell them. It's just a resource. And it's somebody's opinion that's based upon many years being in the industry. It's phenomenal to be able to help people the way we do.
Do they treat you okay on the phone?
Oh, absolutely. They're very nice on the phone. Yeah, I can't remember. Nothing pops out in my mind that anybody has been so rude, and I think that just comes along with what we do. Again, you have this personification out there of being evil people, but all in all, the industry as a whole is very family oriented.
Amen.
And and I think it's important to pass that tradition on. It's a lot of family time that's spent together, practicing or going to competitions it's interesting you say that. And Mike, I want to bring you into this, because what's one of the things that probably hurts us the most, just personally, because we know that we're family oriented and that we're helpful and we want to be part of the community, and we look upon ourselves as the good guys and gals. And then when somebody talks about, those crazy gun nut people, that really hurts, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. It's like saying something that you do. Well, it's exactly what it is. It's saying something you dearly love is wrong.
Yeah, the things that you hold dear and think are important, they say that not only are they not important, but they're wrong. And more than that, they are harmful to people. They're harmful to children. And they're harmful to your neighbors, and you're going, no, that's not me, and that's not what I do. And so,
well, nobody likes to be painted with a broad brush like that, And when it comes down to something like being able to protect yourself, it really does hit home, because it's not, you collect stamps, that makes you stupid. It's, you're responsible for your own personal safety. I don't see how the two equate, but it's not a hobby.
How can you be that crazy? And don't you know that what you do actually is responsible for the murder of people? And it kind of goes on and spins off. And so I will tell you guys, and you know this, when I started doing this show 20 years ago, I said, all right, I have really two missions. And one is it's a commercial venture, because, of course, if you don't make some money with this thing, you can't stay on the air, because it's very expensive to produce it and get it out nationally. But the other thing is I called it missionary work at the time. I said, our role is to be the good guys and gals, to have fun on the air. And I always explained it this way to people. I said, when a couple is driving down the road in their car and they turn on the radio and they're hitting the scan button and they land on Gun Talk and they listen for a couple of minutes, I want them to say, wow, they sound like they're having a good time. 2, they sound just like us. And 3, maybe they aren't as crazy as I've been told. And, and if we score on those, then from my perspective, then the show's a success.
Amen.
It's been interesting. The other thing is trying to go against the stereotype. Let's see. There are so many. Let's see. Gun owners. Let's see. Racist, bigoted, homophobe, Billy Bob, knuckle dragging, mouth breather. It just goes on and on and on. Broadcasting from the bunker. That kind of. Well, of course I am, but that's a whole different. But we've had the Pink Pistols on. It's
JPFO.
It just Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. For me, it's a big tent. If you believe in personal responsibility, and then we of course tend to see that through the eyes of Second Amendment and personal responsibility of taking care of yourself, but more than that, taking care of other people, which I think a lot of people miss that aspect of it. I want to take care of my family. And if I need to, if the situation demanded it, yes, I would come to help other people. That's very much a situational call.
But don't you think that kind of goes across the whole industry? I mean, can you think of any other industry or group of people or sports or whatever that when you meet the folks, they're just real people and they're decent individuals. They're not idiots. In the gun world that I've been exposed to the past 14 years, everybody I've met has been a decent human being. I mean, everybody's a little different and has their eccentricities, but we all do. But I can't think of another industry that has a better group of people across the board with all their differences.
Yeah, I mean, certainly any group is going to have, the guys you're thinking, I don't really want to spend time with him. But for the most part, I would say the vast majority of people are folks that you would invite over to your house. Yeah. And that's about as good as it gets in terms of, my measurement of people is if it's somebody I would invite over to my house to dinner, then I think that's a good person.
As opposed to inviting them over for dinner.
With some fava beans. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Hannibal.
All right, tell you what, that's a great place to take a quick break here, and we will come back with more of the 20th anniversary. Besides, now you've made me hungry, so here we go. That's just wrong.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
Okay, we're back with the insanity known as the after show. That's it. You guys finished your meal now? And who did you have over for dinner?
Do you remember the song Timothy from the 60s, Tom? No, okay.
No.
It was the only pop song in the top 100 ever about cannibalism. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Yeah, look up the song.
You're sure the Spin Doctors didn't throw one of those in there or something?
Yeah, we go for evolve kind of.
And if it was anybody else, Jim, I would say, yeah, it was the '60s, and I know that you were smoking something. But since you don't do that,
plus
then I would say, okay,
4 years old.
Yeah, well,
but I had the best stuff, dude.
And that's right. The 4-year-old with the best stuff. There you go, man.
Yes, look up Timothy. You'll get a kick out of the lyrics. Yeah, song about cannibalism.
Wow.
Well, it's an interesting take, don't you think, listening to our guest today about kind of where we were and where we are, and we're in a better place, but every single one of them talking about, particularly about gun rights movement, they keep stressing that it never stops because the attacks will never stop.
Right.
But I got to tell you, I liked what Gene Hoffman was talking about, the gun owner 2.0.
Yeah.
The gun owners who are very savvy on the web, they come to it from maybe gaming, from, whatever it is, like Call of Duty or whatever, but they understand the new landscape. The battlefield is electronic, it's digital, and they know that landscape. And something that I was going to ask you guys about is, we've talked about this, is the need to get the NRA and other groups to be very active and spend some serious money in that area, on the online area.
Well, like you said, I mean, with the advent of the internet and instantaneous communication, I think it's silly they haven't tapped it yet. But, I mean, they do. I follow them on Facebook, and they do put out good information and keep people updated. But I think there are ways they can improve it. With anything, it's kind of new, Social media is relatively new, so it's going to take some of us a little longer to figure it out. They could do more. Yeah,
I think the 2.0ers that Gene was referring to really don't know any other way. It's kind of like the analog-digital whole realm. We lived in the analog world, and we're feathering into it. And some of us are reluctant to accept things that are new, but this is the only way they've known. So they pretty much have, you've got 20-somethings that have mastered it, whether it's from gaming or just general exposure. That's what they do know.
I was talking to a kid the other day that I didn't even put two and two together that he was young, but he never owned a VCR, never used one. And that blew my mind.
Wow. I remember
every year they put
oh my god.
Yeah, every year they put out that list of, people who were born, who are 20 years old now, have never owned a VCR and have never done, they do that deal, and you're thinking, man, I feel old.
Yeah, rotary phone. Yeah.
Right.
Well, forget rotary phone. Some of them now have had a cell phone since they were single-digit old. Basically since they were 10 years old, if you will. For 9 to 10 years old, they've had a cell phone. They've never known a time when they didn't have a cell phone.
The example I used earlier about, some of us older folks being a little reluctant to accept technology. My kids were not going to have cell phones. No way. The older boys didn't have them. They turned 16, 17, they got them. Of course, my 9-year-old daughter has one, and I'm glad she does now. I was wrong in saying she shouldn't have. There's a lot of safety factor. It's like anything else. You got to police it, but it could come in real handy, so... live and learn.
But what I like is the idea of these 2.0ers understanding the nuances. Give you an example. I got an email from a guy this week, and he said, look, you've talked about how the other side is better at this than we are, and what if somebody were tweaking the algorithms of Google to change certain results of search engine? Mm-hmm. He said, look, they're already doing that. He said in the last 2 presidential elections, but especially the last one, said they went in and used search engine optimization, SEO, so that if you searched for crooked politician or dumb politician or a lot of things like that, they set it up so it went to the Republican candidate. The Democrats were very good at this, very subtle, but just tweaking it because that became kind of the wallpaper, the texture, the background. It's like, well, everybody knows that Republicans are racist. Everybody knows that Tea Parties are this. And they're using that in a very powerful way. And I think, Frank, I think we're behind on that part of it.
Yeah, I agree there.
There you go. So, all right, 20 years. Michelle, what were you doing 20 years ago?
Well, I was still in the gun industry, believe it or not, but I was a new person.
Can't get out.
No, I was fairly a new person to it. I had probably, at that point in time, been with my now husband for a couple of years, and he's the one that took me out to the range, and almost every year since somewhere has been spent on a national range doing all different kinds of sports. So I can't say enough as to what it's done for family. And of course, it's what we do with our business as well. But, you know, it's given us the opportunity to give our children a responsibility and discipline that I don't know that they would have gotten with any other sport. In some ways, the shooting sport is all about you, but there's a huge team factor to that. And my kids saw both sides, and I think they're well-rounded, accomplished people because of what we did. We spent time.
Well, it teaches responsibility. That's something that a lot of people don't learn into their 50s.
Right.
So.
You can learn it?
A couple of my friends, you know, when they would ask, you know, you take your kids shooting? Like, yeah, we do.
Right.
But they have that misconception that shootings are drive-by shooting events, you know? I mean, we go out to the range, and it's very specific, very practiced, very time-oriented, and it's a fantastic situation to be in, and to be able to explain to them what it is we do and the national records and championships that, you know, we've accumulated over the time. It's incredible.
Well, you talked about time. The currency that's the most valuable that we have is time. And you will show what's important to you by the things you spend your time on. People will give lip service to a lot of things, but whatever it is they spend their time on, that's what's actually the most important to them. And when you say, we're spending time with our family, then you are actually saying that's what's important to me. The shooting sports is a great way, because it is, in fact, a lifetime sport. You can start somebody, I mean, Jazz, you know, your daughter, Jim, is shooting at, 9 years old, and you can also be shooting at 90 years old. And you can do it as a family for decades. I mean, just as your family has, Michelle.
That's right. And you may have to change the resources that you use. You know, you may end up on a bench with a big scope, but you're still out there doing it. And I just think it's awesome to see people out there in their 80s, in their 90s, doing what they love and trying to pass that passion on to somebody new. I don't know of any other sport that they'll drop what is their prized possession for that championship and put it in your hand so you have the opportunity to shoot your first shot even.
Yeah, that's something.
That's what I'm saying about the people in the shooting industry in general are really good people across the board.
Yeah, people should just come out and observe what happens. Even if you don't take part in it, just come and watch what happens, because there is a real unity to it. Yes, you want to beat that person, but they'll do anything they can to help you win as well.
Of those people
today, Rob Latham said, hey, the guys I trained are beating me now. And he says, and I have mixed feelings. I hate it when they beat me, but I feel really good that I help them improve.
And that, to me, is just the standard of a great coach. Somebody who isn't afraid to teach somebody how to do what they know how to do, but take it to the next level and, consequently, beat you with your information. How awesome is that? You're making the next generation stronger. Pass it on.
Well, Rob Latham is a great example of this being a lifetime sport. I mean, he has been at the top of his game for 30 years. What other sport can you participate in and be at the very top of your level on a professional basis for 30 years. I can't think of one. Maybe golf.
Tiddlywinks.
Maybe.
Tiddlywinks.
You know, but even golf, nobody stays at the top. Somebody that is 50 is not going to be beating the 20-year-olds. You have to go on the senior tour in golf.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
And you got Jerry Mitchell, who's beating everybody, and Jerry is he's I'm sure turned 50. I think he's in his mid-50s. You know, the oldest person to win a gold medal in the Olympics was in shooting, and the guy was in his 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So, you know, there's hope for us. We could still get better. We could actually get good, maybe.
Well, we could get better.
We can get better, not necessarily good. Okay. It all depends on where you start, right?
Well, I think it's definitely important to set aside what's important to you at some point in time. And, you know, whether it's what's important to you as a family or what's important to you as far as taking the ownership of your safety, I think it's a serious conversation people need to sit down and have with themselves, with their loved ones, with outside, you know, members of the family, because this is a serious time that we're facing. And we can't be vigilant enough. We can't sit still. We can't stop making the phone calls. We can't stop writing the letters. We can't stop putting out information on Twitter. We need to be active. And, you know, we need the help of these younger people to do that, too, just like with the 2.0ers. We need their help. And if they're going to be active and support us, get them in the group. Let's go.
Well, another thing I wouldn't mind adding, you have to be an ambassador every day. I'm not talking if you're open carrying exclusively, but if people know, even if they don't see it, that you know you're a gun owner and that you have a concealed carry permit and you're carrying often, you have to be an ambassador to the cause. You can't be a complete jerk all the time. You know, you can't be untrustworthy.
Oh.
Well, I know that kind of screws you, but
I know.
You know, does that make any sense at all?
Absolutely.
No, it makes perfect sense.
You have to
because
live it.
Unfortunately, people who don't know gun owners will base their judgment of all gun owners on the interactions they have with any gun owner. So if you're the interaction of the day, then however they feel about you coming away from that is how they're going to feel about gun owners. Yep. So I've said this about hunters. If you're the hunter who's in the barber shop, back when we had barber shops, and you're talking about poaching and shooting more than the limit and all, and somebody else is in there and they're not a hunter, what impression do you think they're going to have of hunters? Same deal with guns. If you're sitting in there talking about, yeah, well, I carry a gun because I'm, you know, if they do this, I'm going to do that. You know, if you're going to give the impression that's actually not correct. But so, I mean, to your point, Michael, you're exactly right. You're an ambassador at all times. Whether or not you're carrying, whether or not you're at the shooting range, if people know that you're a gun owner and when the subject comes up about firearms and shooting, that's your opportunity. And every single conversation is this wonderful opportunity for you to show that we're reasonable, we're somewhat intelligent, some of us, kind of, sort of, can carry on a conversation, and we're not in your face. It's not like, well, you know, you can be persuasive many times by asking questions, not gotcha questions, but just questions. And but no, you're exactly right, Michael. I think you're on to a really good point there.
Well, you had mentioned about people meet a guy who's a poacher, for example, listening to him. They judge all gun owners by that. Here, an analogy that I use often is bikers. I've got a lot of biker friends, and people who aren't into riding or just never had a chance to sit and talk to somebody has the image of the Hells Angels from the 60s, and these guys are criminals. They're some of the nicest, softest people I know. But the image isn't that, and people that don't investigate a little bit and get to learn, they have a preconceived notion about all bikers do this. They're all the same. They're all rabble-rousing, drunks, and it's just not the case. But without education,
but it gives you an opportunity. That gives you an opportunity to correct that, not by what you say, but by how you behave, how you conduct yourself. That's what people really judge.
Well, I think the most important thing we can do is not be on the defensive side, but be on the educational side.
Yes, we can. We can too, Michelle. Sorry.
Well, that may end up happening.
I'm sorry. You're both wrong.
But I think,
and I'm going to keep at you until you admit that you're wrong.
I'm wrong, Uncle. but I think most people are open to at least going out to the range. And if they aren't, you might not win them right then, but they might come back a month, 2 months, a year, 5 years later and say,
Well, here's the thing. So a lot of times people can, it's sad, but they'll convert over to the dark side, the gun side, because something traumatic happened, and they want that to never happen again.
Right. To them or a relative or whatever.
Exactly. So a lot of times you'll get
but it works the other way, too.
Sure.
The other way. I mean, how many times have you had somebody come to you, Michael, and say, I want to talk about getting my carry permit. Well, what's going on? Well, a friend of mine got raped, or somebody got attacked. And then I was never into guns. I really didn't want guns. It's like you have to honor where a person is at any given time. And by that, I mean, you don't belittle, you don't make fun of. Everybody is going to come to this at their own pace. They're going to get there on their own time or not. But you generally don't push people, but you are helpful. When they're ready to go, that's when you are helpful.
Have you found using powers of persuasion without using the term gun helps, as I have? I'll ask people, when's the last time you went target practicing? What do you mean target practicing? Oh, yeah. And it kind of diffuses the stereotypes or notions they may have in their head of guns. Guns are evil.
Maybe a more gentle way to introduce. I mean, you're going to get to the word gun pretty quickly.
Sure.
But maybe just a little bit.
If they're anti-gun right off the bat,
into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, just the other day when I was getting my hair fixed after destroying it, I was at the hair cutting place.
Sounds like there's another story there.
Yeah, I thought highlights would be cool at 33. They're not cool when your hair turns bright red and you look like a ham.
But you got to sit next to a poacher, so that was good.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, I was getting my hair cut, and the girl that was cutting my hair, she was talking to some other girl, and then the other girl pulled out a thing of mace that her boyfriend had just gotten her. And she said, "Oh, I've got one of those too," and pulls a mace out of her purse. And they're talking back and forth. I said, I teach self-defense classes, right? And she's like, well, I was always taught to do in this comical thing, punch here, kick here, and then the attacker will go away.
Right.
Well, honey, that doesn't really work. I didn't have the heart to tell her that, but I said, well, I think your best bet would be to take some personal defense classes. Well, what do you mean, like karate? Well, there's that, but I teach firearms instruction, and here's my business card. We chatted a little bit. She was at first pretty opposed to the idea. Well, I had guns growing up, but I have a daughter, and I don't really want them. I said, well, why don't you just come take a class? You don't have to buy a gun. Just come find out what it's like. See if that's something you're interested in. You're already interested in trying to protect yourself. You've got mace. You've already said you carry a knife sometimes. This is just an extension of another tool in your tool bag to keep you safe. And I think I'll get a call. She seemed pretty excited.
You see, you would use the term, Tom, prior. You'd use the term, but you don't want to make somebody look stupid. You don't want to be offensive to them when you're trying to be persuasive. I found often using the term smart is great because nobody wants to be stupid. Even if they are, they sure don't want to know it. So one of the ways that, Michael, a situation you brought up could be used is to say, hey, well, you're obviously pretty smart because you want to protect yourself. Another smart thing to do is such and such, and you go into the gun thing because nobody's going to say, well, no, I
don't want to be smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of the powers of persuasion that the anti-gun crowd's been using forever, and verbiage. It really is. And if you can diffuse those things gently, and they realize, wow, this guy's a gun guy, but he's nothing like the jerks I thought they all were. Maybe there's more to this.
That's you say, well, come on out. And the other thing you can do, which is always a good tactic, is to say, well, bring a friend. Come on out and bring a friend with you. That way, it's not not threatening. It's like, okay, I got a friend with me. The other thing is, if they're having fun with a friend, it magnifies the amount of fun you're going to have. And that is adults and kids. If you're going to bring a youngster out, have them bring a friend also. It just makes it a much more enjoyable experience.
Or in Michael's case, you make sure you get their number because they're going to have to pick you up because your truck's broke down.
Well, there is that. And so, it's... and always have snacks. Always the universal thing. Always have snacks available, right?
I've got a blanket, I've got a flashlight, snacks, and water in that truck because I know it's going to try to kill me this year.
He doesn't have a flare because of the gas leak. But...
Right. I'm going to put a tent back.
But you don't need a flare. We can find you in the dark with that orange hair.
It's brown again.
Yeah. What time is it? 5:30? Yeah, it's brown now.
You did the coffee in the hair thing. Yeah, that always works.
No, but I'm telling you, I don't know if Michelle's ever dyed her hair, but you do that 3 or 4 times in a week, and it feels like it's going to fall out and turn to powder. It's not good.
Yeah. So you're going to go to the tactical bald look there, just have it all fall out.
It's more aerodynamic.
There you go. It's a high-speed, low-drag kind of a guy. Well, I've decided that I never was, and I'm certainly not going to be high-speed, low-drag. But, I like shooting the pistols. I'm probably not going to shoot three-gun type stuff. Trying to figure out where I want to go now with my shooting. I really like wing shooting, and I've never done a lot of competitive wing shooting, and probably wouldn't get into that seriously just from a time standpoint, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I want to do a re-emphasis just for me on wing shooting and doing some play target shooting. I'm just trying to figure out where to go with it now.
Why don't you consider the Ted Nugent move and go helicopter hog hunting?
Yeah?
You like aircraft?
Okay, you just got me another thing going here. What we're going to do?
Well, you got all those planes,
right,
too.
Ready?
Can you do it out of a plane?
You ready for this? We're going to have 2 helicopters, right?
Okay.
One of them we're going to have the shooters, and the other one's going to have the trap machine for throwing clay targets.
Oh, my God.
Are we having fun yet, or what? Oh.
Wow.
The short straw has to ride in the target chopper, so there you go. Man. Yeah, no, the whole helicopter thing for hogs is crazy. They're doing that in Texas and having.
Is it just for population control, or is it just a new way to kill hogs?
They're trying to kill as many as they can, and they've got such a problem, and they know at this point they just can't kill enough of them. They're destroying the land.
You can get bacon out of these guys, right?
But it's not just crops.
Oh, yeah, they taste good.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm just going to say I'll go out there and help. I love me some bacon.
That's the thing. Is everybody wants to help, but they can't kill enough of them. And so that's why they're killing them from helicopters or killing them with night vision. Tell you what, look on the web, see if I can find this thing.
The interweb.
Boar, it's like BOAR, Boar Fever 6.
I know a lot of guys are using semi-auto because it's not as...
There you go. Look, all right. Just everybody could Google up Wild Boar Fever 6 and look at the video. Now, this was not in the U.S. This was actually in Romania or someplace. You can't believe the numbers of hogs, or in this case, wild boars, going by these guys. And the shots these guys are making are incredible.
Are those things dangerous,
They are such good shooters.
Do they attack people? I mean, in
they
groups?
Can. They generally don't.
They're so cute.
I'm telling you. All right. I've got it up here. Let's see.
One more time. Wild
Boar Fever
6.
Wild Boar Fever 6. The number 6.
Man, they're shooting.
Because I haven't seen 1 through 5 yet. Who knows?
What are they shooting?
What kind of gun?
Yeah. What kind of ammo is that? That was a pretty big cartridge.
I think they're shooting probably a Blaser. The straight pull bolt action. It's very fast bolt action. But when you see the shots they're making on these wild boar, it's crazy. And then you'll have a herd of 20 or 30 run by these guys. Crazy stuff. That's what we're looking at coming to the U.S. They're just going to get completely overrun by these hogs. And
I didn't know.
Nobody knows what to do about them at this point, other than maybe we could kill a bunch of them with lead poisoning.
High-speed lead poisoning.
High-speed lead poisoning. That's
a lead injection, so to speak.
We're going to apply about 150 grains of lead and see how that works.
Ventilate them.
There you go.
Ventilate.
Well, guys, I just want to thank you. I want to thank the 3 of you. Seriously, it's a great team. I really enjoy working with you. It's fun to do this every Sunday, and it's just kind of Isn't it weird how your week revolves around this, and it's a mental countdown to the show each week?
Yep.
Well, there's not too many jobs that I've had in my past that I can guarantee every time I come into work, I'm going to learn something. And that's pretty magical to me anyway. I think that's awesome. Plus, it's something I'm passionate about. It's not labor. It's fun.
I just like looking at the show call screen.
And my hair is brown again.
Oh, and my face is red. How ironic. I think it just proves the type of people that we deal with day in and day out. The people that go to the air are the people that call. We don't change them. We don't have them call us. It just truly is what it is. And, it is a blessing to be able to help the people the way that we do, Tom. And you do a great job. Local, community, worldwide, it's an awesome thing.
Well, I appreciate it. It's a fun ride. It's we're just going to keep doing this thing until they tell us we can't do it anymore, and then we'll probably still do it anyway. So
it'll just all be after show.
Yeah. That's right. It'll all be after show. That maybe where we're going. Actually, the 3 of us will just get together in the living room and talk to each other. It'll be let's see. What do we have coming up? We've got the NRA show. We're going to be doing the radio show from the NRA show. That's going to be fun. Let's see. And we have, a bunch of fun guests coming up. So we kind of just keep going and keep lining up good guests and find out what's going on out there. It's the battle is never over in terms of the politics, but the other side of it is we have the coolest stuff we get to deal with guns and ammo and scopes and gear and stuff. It's just a hoot.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe sometimes this is a job, and I'm sure you do too, Tom. I mean, there's a lot of work to it, but it's like, you make your living doing what? Well, that sounds like a ball. Like, it is.
I've had people come up and tell me they are more jealous that I'm involved with this show than any other thing that it's like almost become my identity to a couple of these people that I know. Yeah. Oh, that's the Gun Talk guy. Check it out. We love Tom Gresham's show. And,
with the junkie truck.
Yeah, but it's become almost an identity because people are so passionate about not only this show, but the topic at hand.
Well, Michelle had that happen today, wasn't it? Somebody called in and...
What?
I was sharing with Jim. I said, you know how you find out whether or not people are truly listening? I had somebody ask me if I got my raise.
Talked about
and Jim says, we're going to block that number.
What I said to her was...
Oh my goodness.
What an awesome experience.
All righty, guys. Well, again, seriously, thank you for all your help. You make the show run, despite my best efforts to screw it up many times.
Or ours, huh?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. All right, you guys have a good week. We'll do it again next Sunday.
Take care.
Hey, we appreciate you listening to the Gun Talk After Show. Be sure and tell your friends, and remember, everything Gun Talk is available 24/7 at guntalk.com. Be sure and join Tom, Jim, Michelle, and Michael for another Gun Talk After Show next week right here